Hello, I'm Susan Karmanian, the Dean of the College of Law at the Hamad bin Khalifa University in Doha, the state of Qatar. It gives me great pleasure to welcome you to a special event that has been a number of months in the making and is due to the vision and dedication of a group of women lawyers, all with ties to Qatar. The women came together to establish the MENA Women in Law Initiative. Why is this important to our College of Law? We have seen a marked increase in the number of women students since our founding in 2015, growing from 40% to 70%. Throughout the MENA, women lawyers are playing an increasingly influential role, whether as advocates in courts or in arbitration tribunals, in-house counsel, judges, prosecutors, and legal advisors to ministries. At today's launch, the MENA Women in Law Initiative will be examining a topic relevant to the entirety of the legal profession, one that looks at challenges and opportunities, namely lawyering in the time of pandemics. HBKU Law is at the forefront of ensuring the thorough examination of all issues facing the legal profession, and clearly the effect of the pandemic is one of these. All of our speakers today are founders of the Women Law Initiative, the MENA Women Law Initiative, that is, and we're just excited that they have come together and join us. Before introducing them, I would like to thank two special colleagues, Ezzeddine Abdenebi, who is in the HBKU Communications Department, who has helped us with all the logistics associated with this webinar, and also Sandy Amanis here at the law school, who heads up our graduate programs and special events. Their hard work has made it possible for us to have this event today. So to start the program, we're going to hear first from Francois Moulet, who's co-founder of the Innovative Center for Education, a nonprofit entity licensed by the Qatar Financial Center Authority. The entity focuses on driving innovative transformations in areas ranging from legal technologies to interactive art. We will then hear from Asma Al-Khalifi, who is a trade lawyer with Qatar's Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Asma is a member of the first JD graduating class at Hamad bin Khalifa University School of Law. Francois and Asma will introduce us to the MENA Women in Law Initiative. Thereafter, the floor will be passed to Dr. Julie Boissard-Petrions, a French qualified lawyer and founder of Partie M Advisory, where she advises on legal and other issues relevant to innovation in multicultural environments. Julie was previously at LexisNexis, where she focused on the MENA region as business development manager and head of operations here in Qatar. Then we'll hear from Dr. Oriane Geniz, senior legal counsel at BN Sports here in Doha. Oriane is an international lawyer with 14 years legal experience in the government and private sectors, specializing in cybersecurity, data protection, and telecommunication regulation. Both Julie and Oriane will discuss the substantive theme of today's session. To our audience, we hope to hear from you during the session. So feel free to send your questions by clicking on the Q&A tab, which is at the bottom right of your screen. Direct your questions to all panelists, and that way I will get the questions and have a chance to use them during the question and answer period. So Francois, the floor is yours, and welcome everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Susan. Thank you very much, HBKU, and thank you all for joining. We are very honored, the team is very honored and very pleased to be able to launch today the MENA Women in Law Initiative. As we don't have much time, we only have an hour, and we would like to have time for questions. I briefly will say how it started. At the beginning of this year, like lifetime away, Dr. Julie and I organized a seminar on AI, artificial intelligence, and the legal profession in the context of the humans. That was due for March. Then the pandemic came, lockdown, virtual conversations, and Julie and I started sharing feelings how the situation was evolving and when it comes to digital transformation. And we joined in with Asma. And it became very clear to us that digital transformation is accelerating. Digital transformation disrupts the legal profession, and new set of skills will be needed. And set of skill in understanding how's best for our practice, the legal tech, what's to apply, and understand, access, and mitigate the risk. And this came to realization that it would be very helpful to set up a platform for women to share knowledge, exchange, also think about how it affects our remote working within our environment. And this is how it came along. And Dr. Julie then moved to Paris, and we decided we will, from Qatar, we will also include our legal friends in North Africa and Kuwait and dedicate to the MENA region, women in law operating in the region. And now I will leave Asma to talk about our initial vision and mission. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Francois. Asma.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here today. I'd firstly like to thank Dean Susan and all the organizers for making this first event happen. And I mean, like Francois has mentioned, this all came about right around the time of the pandemic. And I do think that, you know, especially during this pandemic, we learned that, you know, it's really important to have a sense of community. And so it's very timely that we come up with this initiative. So I will just now very briefly go through the vision and mission of the initiative, just so you can get a better understanding. After a lot of discussion, essentially we had the vision of driving innovation and building an inclusive future by fostering a community of women law professionals in the MENA region. And we discussed the mission and came down to four main elements. The first one being sharing knowledge. Of course, in these ever-changing times, staying in the know about what's happening in your industry has never been more important. You'd be surprised to know how many big corporations are so out of touch sometimes. And so, you know, it's important to constantly be up to date. We did discuss in a previous meeting with a few ladies on what are some of the topics that we would like to address that we can talk about afterwards. Secondly, we talked about networking and the importance of networking. We want to, through networking, first and foremost, better be able to understand ourselves as ladies and as legal practitioners, and to be able to actually build relationships that matter. And of course, again, in this day and age, it's very easy to heavily rely on technology for this. But we do want to use technology to amplify this community, not center the community around it. So we will look into both offline and online engagement. And through networking, we think that it would be very good to find areas for collaboration among the ladies. Thirdly, celebrating women in law. We think it would be a great opportunity to create some sort of platform where we can celebrate women in law and what they have to offer. And finally, highlighting accomplishments. So there's a lot but we don't know enough about it, both locally and in the region. So through this initiative, we aim to look into that. So now I'll pass the floor on to Dr. Julie and Dr. Oriane, and I very much look forward to the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Asma. Thank you, Dean Susan. Thank you to HBKU College of Law for hosting us today. We are very, very pleased with my colleague, Dr. Oriane, to present you today with this topic of lawyering in the time of pandemics. So I will start my presentation with two quotes that are extremely relevant. The first one is from Mark Cohen, the CEO of Legal Mosaic. Law has much to learn from other industries. law is not solely about lawyers anymore, and the digital transformation accelerated by COVID-19 will transform it just as it has its customers. Second one from Satya Nadella, the CEO of Microsoft. So we saw 2 years of digital transformation in just 2 months. So as law professionals, we are dealing with a new reality. The digital transformation based on new technologies and more specifically on AI technologies for artificial intelligence is expanding extremely fast. The whole environment has changed, and as lawyers, we need to adapt while mastering the new risks linked to our digital environment. Next one, please. So during this presentation, we will examine why the legal profession has not changed for decades, then why the legal profession is now evolving significantly, and then we'll see how to embrace these changes. So why the legal profession has not changed for decades? There are three main reasons. First, legal services are complex. Indeed, providing legal advice requires way more than search on Google or on a database. Analyzing specific facts, identifying relevant laws or regulation, combining these elements to solve a legal issue or to build customized arguments to be presented before a judge is extremely complicated. AI technologies are far from being able to replace human lawyers yet. The second argument is that the profession is quite conservative. Legal tech vendors are not allowed to practice law. The natural perimeter of lawyers. Even though some concessions have been made in some countries, practicing law is still a human lawyer's thing. Third argument, the financial gain is mixed. In any profession, it is doubtful that workers get excited by technologies with the potential to replace them. For lawyers more specifically, most of them are paid by the hour. With technologies allowing to delegate repetitive tasks to robots, this could mean less profits for them. Besides, investing in new technologies might sometimes be expensive. Therefore, for lawyers, the profit incentives are mixed. So these three arguments are still relevant today. Some of them might even continue on a long-term basis. However, the pandemic has weakened them all. Indeed, if the whole world is evolving, why not lawyers? Next one, please. Yes, so the legal profession is now evolving significantly. Professional tasks exposure to the digital transformation is increasing. And the more tasks are exposed to digital, the more they are likely to be provided by algorithms, robots, and not human lawyers anymore. On the next slide, please, we'll see very interesting figures. These figures are from Dana Remus. You have this at the bottom of the slide. So these figures are from the pre-pandemic period, and I'm guessing that they are still relevant and they are increasing. So if you take the professional tasks that are heavily exposed to digital, 85% of them will no longer be provided by human lawyers. For tasks moderately exposed to digital, 19% of them will no longer be provided by humans. And finally, for tasks with low digital exposure, only 5% of them will no longer be provided by humans. Next slide, please. So the question is, what kind of tasks are exposed to digital transformation? As of now, mostly the repetitive ones, but AI technologies are improving very fast. Next one, please. To make you better understand the power of AI and AI-based technologies, let's examine some of these technologies that are impacting our daily lives, but also our profession. The first one are the rules-based systems. They capture and use experts' knowledge to provide answers to tricky problems that are governed by fixed rule sets. Then we have speech recognition. Speech recognition transcribes human speech automatically and accurately. Then we have computer vision. They have the ability to identify objects, scenes, activities in naturally occurring images. Then machine learning. Machine learning takes place without explicit programming. By trial or error, computers learn how to learn, mining information to discover patterns in data that can help predict future events. Then robotic process automation. RPA robots are programs designed to automate transactional, rules-based tasks by mimicking human interactions. Next slide, please. The conclusion is there is no way out of it. Lawyers need to adapt. This is not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. This is a fact of evolution. Changes in the legal profession underway before the COVID-19 pandemic have accelerated significantly during the past month. Next, please. So now the main question is how to embrace these changes. First, by adopting new technologies, and more specifically AI-based technologies, by shifting from a lawyer-centric to a multidisciplinary, digital and customer-first lawyer, and then by mitigating data risks. Next, please. So adopting AI-based technologies. Adopting the right tools is indispensable, but not enough. I have good news here. Technology will not replace you. But technology will help you gain time, reduce internal costs so that you can focus on what's really expected from you by your clients and your organization. So here are some of the most interesting technologies developed by legal tech vendors, startups, or bigger players such as Thomson Reuters or LexisNexis. First, we have smart legal research. SML supports lawyers in reducing time spent in researching relevant legal information. Since the inception of the first legal databases more than 20 years ago, the associated technology has improved significantly. For example, SML now uses 3 types of advanced technologies, such as semantic search. So semantic search improves your search by looking into the user's intent. Semantic search provides contextual meaning to increase accuracy. The second technique is auto-completion. Auto-completion has been popularized by Google, and it works as follows. I'm sure you all know that. When you start typing a word, then the search engine suggests the rest of your query. And finally, still for SML. So SML uses also the multi-language legal search that allows you to search and get results in multiple languages. Second very interesting new technology is the automated contract drafting, reviewing, management, and analysis. All segments of a contract lifecycle are now automatable. Technology applies to either individual contracts, clauses, or larger deals, including multiple agreements. Legal analytics. Legal analytics extracts and processes data to provide law practitioners actionable knowledge. Legal analytics solutions focus on helping lawyers to assess a case, to predict likely outcomes of particular arguments, and to determine a strategy before a specific judge or court. And then we have predictive justice. Predictive justice tends to increase efficiency in the process of rendering justice. Based on machine learning systems, predictive justice's applications are vast, but also raise serious ethical issues. Predictive justice might be used in the criminal field, and in that case, the technology is used to in predictive policing, which is the prediction of potential criminal activities in the pre-judicial phase. Predictive justice in the criminal field might also be used to weight the risk of recidivism when a judge, for example, is fixing the length of a sentence. Predictive justice in the civil field, what is called predictive justice in the civil field mainly refers to legal analytics, just as we saw it, but also to tools helping judges to determine the amount of punitive damages, for example. Next slide, please. So once you've got the right tools, you will be able to shift from a lawyer-centric to a multidisciplinary, digital, and customer-first lawyer. Indeed, clients want lawyers that speak their language, that understand their issues and challenges, that are digitally connected, that protect their data and privacy, that provide a smooth, quick, and customer-friendly approach to legal services. Being a law technician is not enough anymore. You need your practice to match your client's business. Being a multidisciplinary and customer-first lawyer is essential. Developing your soft skills is also paramount. Next one, please. So, concretely, what should you do? We'll see that on the next slide. Adopt a holistic digital adoption or transformation approach. You have to ask yourself, which technologies are relevant for my organization as a whole? You shall also reflect on the purpose of your business or your job. What do you do to contribute to your community? Are you engaged in sustainability? You shall also communicate more efficiently and meaningfully with your internal and external clients or prospects. Share your knowledge. Be pedagogical. Don't forget that you are part of a team, an organization, and a community. Also, at a time where the pandemic has profoundly disrupted our social interactions, see how you can reintegrate the human component into your profession. Engage with professionals from other countries or fields. Don't forget that law is not an isolated scholars-only territory. Law is what makes us live together in harmony. Next one, please. Spend time understanding your client's business. Invest in continuous training. Things are moving fast and you need to keep pace. Keep an open mind on how you improve your practice itself, as well as the way in which you deliver your services. deliver more customized services. You're not a robot, so prove it. Get involved in new laws and regulations drafting. The future lawyer must foresee and understand the new global reality from a legal side and promote needed regulations. And finally, if you are a private practice lawyer, think of attracting clients that would not normally afford hiring you or would not even think of hiring you. This is the end of my part, so I will leave the floor to Dr. Oriane, and she's going to explain you how to mitigate the risks, the data risks. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, it's really a pleasure to be here today, and I would be really curious through the chat room if people attending to this WebEx can just say a hi and quickly present themselves, because I feel really like we are alone, you know, in front of our screens without seeing anyone. And that will also be a pleasure to see how many people are attending to this WebEx. So first of all, again, thank you, ladies, for inviting me to this WebEx. It's just a pleasure to be part of this vision and part of this community as well. Of course, please, people listening to that conference, do not pull the cables as it's written on my presentation. Please ask the advice of an IT lawyer. And talking about IT lawyers, I'm not just a corporate legal in-house counsel in Doha for the last 7 years, but I'm also a life and career coach. And if we would have this session live and face-to-face, I would have loved to coach you all, knowing what will be your next purpose in life and how you can really mitigate this risk for the future. Of course, we cannot do that, but I wanted to ask you a few questions just to see if you have an interest to listen the rest of this presentation, and you can actually just write down on your chat your answer. So the first question is, are you actually using Facebook? Are you using Instagram, LinkedIn, Snapchat, TikTok? Are you also Twitter account? Do you have any Twitter account? So if you have, please write yes in the chat just to see who is fully connected and who is fully dedicated to online social media. And also try to ask you those questions as well. Are you actually paying for these services? Are you checking their confidentiality policies? Are you updating your passwords on a regular basis? Maybe not, or not all the time. If it's the case, maybe you can listen to the rest of that presentation. So we're all going through this COVID thing, and we have all shifted our minds to work online. We have probably, I don't know if it's the case for you, but I've spent the last 6-8 months supporting my kids on their online learning while I was preparing Zoom conferences with my boss, or chatting on WhatsApp with my friends, all in the same time. So this COVID has completely accelerated the phenomenon of being totally dependent on social media and IT platforms. And actually, you have two choices: either to hire a life and career coach to think about a new job, or as Julie mentioned it, work on your technical IT skills and try to take this train on and be part of this transformation digitally. So as you can see on my slide, we are kind of all this Dave. Dave is a social media addict. He's also a lawyer. He's going through this pandemic. And he doesn't know much about cybersecurity, encryption, and antivirus, and software, and so on, but he has to start to understand it. Otherwise, this digital transformation will not happen with lawyers. Please do not be scared. Cybersecurity is very interesting. It's a new era where we have fully a part as a lawyer to play. Cybersecurity is totally interconnected with data protection, and it's no longer the problem of IT guys. 81% of cyber attacks are using breaches, either stolen or weak passwords. And in the Middle East, 68% of organizations are lacking the internal capabilities to protect themselves against sophisticated attacks. 75% of cyber attacks are perpetrated by outsiders, and 24% of the breaches affect financial organizations. The threats are multiple, and I have listed some of them you will see later, but at your level, poor passwords is one of the main reasons for data breaches. Missing good patches is another one. Vulnerabilities management is a third one. Out-of-date antivirus is two. So business is taking those cybersecurity issues and data protection very seriously. It's part now of their business. We are more depending on digital platform. We are also investing as companies on digital innovation by buying new software and new tools, technology tools that will help our business to grow. And those new tools we're using, we need also to face the risks that it is encountering. We are also interconnected with lots of vendors, third parties, contractors in a very complex supply chain environment in which you will have also to deal with other cybersecurity issues or leak from other companies. So the threats are multiple. You have, of course, activists, we call them, and piracy or hackers who are, trying to enter into your system, stealing your data for political reasons, financial reasons. We have some sophisticated malwares that can stay in your computer for ages and just listening what's happening within your system, your data, or your entire company's infrastructure. We have also insiders, the new intern, an employee who has bad intent for the company. We have very big risk on data. I call it the 3D, deletion, distortion, and disruption of data, which has a major impact in the law firms or any companies dealing with sensitive data. We have also threats on intellectual property or even sabotage of your physical premises that will create physical damage for your company. So here I have listed 8 of the threats that has been most important in 2020. So phishing gets the most sophisticated. Maybe you have had those kind of messages, emails through your personal emails or professional emails asking you to click on the link and then downloading something that will really incorporate some viruses in your system or just stealing some data. You have also ransomware strategies who are evolving. What is it actually? It's this capacity from hackers online to steal your data and requesting money to get your data back. And now with the creation and the new nature of Bitcoins and cryptocurrency, this is easier to stay anonymous online, and you have this new zone of uncertainty linked to internet and the use of this currency online. Cryptojacking, it's also linked to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. It needs a lot of power to issue those systems. So you have hackers who are installing some software in your system, virus in your system, just to pump the power of your computer as a botnet. It's like a ghost in your system, you don't see it, but while you switch it off, it's still running for the benefits of the hackers. You have, of course, cyber physical attacks, and we have seen in the last 10, 15 years, many cyber attacks at the national level or the critical infrastructure level, where a virus can affect a few company or a medical company or power plants anywhere in Iran, for instance, and then create damages on your system, and it can explode sometimes, or it can make some damage on people. Internet of Things. How far are we connected right now with our smartphone, our smartwatch, our cars, our cell phone? We are connected everywhere. And this is also creating new risks for us. Without talking, of course, about medical devices. All the data collected by hospitals to help you or recovering from any disease are very sensitive data that needs to be protected. And of course, third parties. We are dealing with vendors, contractors, partners, and all of them are in a way presenting a risk for you. I have realized that 60% of data breaches involve a third party. And only 52% of companies have security standards to really connect and protect the infrastructure. Next slide, please. So how can you be proactive and resilient in this new digital era? There is no magic here. Of course, do not change the name of your dog because your password has been corrupted. Maybe you need to add some numbers and signs to make it more complex. But as a lawyer, a new digital 3.0 lawyer, connected one, you need to ensure that you're transparent with your clients on the way you are controlling and processing your data. You need to show them how you're controlling with the support of IT, management, commercial team, any other teams, how you're controlling this data and how you're ensuring the integrity of those data to avoid the 3D risk I call deletion, distortion, and disruption. You have to preserve, of course, the confidentiality of this data, and you have to show how. And of course, you need to be accountable for that. And not only on the business side, but on the legal side as well. You have probably all heard about the GDPR, who is now setting very high standards for companies to ensure that the customer's protection of data are fully protected through businesses. So what can you do to prevent and mitigate this risk? And as Julie mentioned, the cooperation is key. Cooperation with specialists, but also cooperation within your entities. You need to assess your infrastructure. You need to be aware on your own side what kind of data you're hosting, how long you're hosting it, where are you hosting it, with whom are you sharing this data. And you have, of course, as a lawyer, to implement policies. First, to be compliant with international standard or even local standard in Qatar. We have now a great data privacy law, which are actually representing the baseline of the GDPR. All the same principles are there. So you need to make sure that you have a data privacy law and that the companies and the employees or the law firm know about it. And of course, a part of the lawyer work is to ensure you can create awareness. You can train your people on very basic elements, as I just mentioned, the 5 pillars written there, or the way to make your password be more strong, or just asking your colleagues to delete the data they do not need anymore. And what you can do if an incident happened, if you know that the incident happened, because many incidents are happening without you even realize it, without even you knowing it. Some viruses may be already in your computer, checking on your data, listening to these reports, and asking if it's pertinent or not for any cyber espionage. So if an incident happened on the legal side, the best lawyer, prepared lawyers, need to have an incident response plan with a data mapping of all the data collected for the last few months or week at all level of the company. You have to get a direct line with a DPO. If you don't have one, you need to have a data privacy officer or a data protection officer, someone who knows what kind of sensitive data we have and how does it work on the way we are sharing with third parties. We also need, it's less important maybe in Qatar, but it is really now in Europe, you need a media trained director, someone who is able to quickly respond to press, because you have to also make sure the reputation of your company is protected. And that also you can ensure the resilience of the company and you can continue the business as before, even though if you have some systems blacked out. And to be also able to connect with your insurance to know if it's part of the risk covered by the insurance. And of course, back-to-back responsibility chain with all your suppliers, your third-party contractors, how you will deal with them if you don't connect, if you are not connected anymore with your business or with your suppliers. And this cannot be done on your own. It needs to be done with the management, the ITs, and all people working on the ground on the business level. And if you show to your client this interest and the way you are starting, at least from the beginning, to protect the data, then it will save your time, your money, and probably also your reputation. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you so much, Dr. Ariane and Dr. Julie, for those very thorough remarks. And they have prompted in my mind a lot of questions. Again, I would encourage the audience, don't be shy, as we say in Texas. Feel free to write in any question whatsoever. But I think that in listening to both of you speak, and also to thinking about the introductory remarks from Asma and from Francois, I'm curious of what your reaction is, and this could be for any of my colleagues here. What your reaction is in this time of pandemic. We've become so dependent on this medium and on our computers. And Julie talked about efficiency and the like, but is this really liberating and for human beings? We are 24/7 now tethered to our devices. And as a lawyer, getting back to, I think, Julie's first point was, we still have to exercise judgment. These devices help us, but we ultimately have to exercise judgment. And how efficient and how effective are we going to be given the dependence on all this technology? So I just toss that up as a question for anybody on the panel, and those in the audience. If you want to chime in on that, please do. We know you're there, so feel free to chime in if you like.
Well, the main point of my is that we have to deal with technologies. This is the world how it is now. There is no out of it. We need to adopt these technologies, but we need to master these technologies as well, from a data risks point of view, as Oriane just explained, but from an ethical point of view as well. And as lawyers at large, I see technologies as a way to improve our daily tasks. I don't see technologies as a threat at all. I know that a lot of people are worried about artificial intelligence, saying, well, there's not going to be lawyers anymore in 10 years' time, on 20 years time, lawyers will build robots. Don't believe so. Let's give you, for the first reason is that technologies are not ready to replace us yet. They may be one day, but I'm asking you a question. If you're going through a rough time, you have legal issues, would you trust a robot to help you out? I don't think so. A lot of people forget about the trust element that is linked to our human interactions. I don't believe this is going to disappear. And I'm not even speaking about the regulations. I mentioned that as of now, legal tech vendors are not allowed to practice law, even though some concessions have been made, and I'm thinking about the US specifically. Regulations is still around, and don't forget who is drafting regulation. Humans are drafting regulations. So we have the power in hands, if I may say. So my point is don't see new technologies as a threat. Use technologies in compliance with your local laws and regulations. They will help you focus on what's really important. Delivering customized services, interacting with your clients or potential clients when I'm saying clients, I'm also thinking of internal clients if you are an in-house counsel, and that's super important. So I want to convey a positive message today. So maybe my colleagues would like to add something.
Please chime in. And by the way, who's drafting the regulations? The lawyers are drafting the regulations in many instances too. So any of the panelists want to say, Oya?
I have part of drafting some of the regulation in Qatar when I was working with the Ministry of Transport and Communication, and also amending some of them. And definitely, it's a human work first before any new technologies to be put in place. It's only our brain who are dedicated totally to implement these tools and also make it to happen with structure on afterwards the tool is issued, then you need some structure to support there. And it's when you're setting structure in this implementation process that you also again need to connect with different professionals and technicians to be able to regulate that digital new world and to ensure the security that goes with it.
Great, thank you. I'm curious about the broader question about humanity, though, and that is that are we really becoming liberated through this technology? Because Julie did talk a lot about the efficiencies. Yet, as human beings, what is happening to us, and particularly during the pandemic, is the value we contribute as lawyers, our judgment. Do you think it's being minimized? I'd like to think about it beyond just the technology and data, but what about as human beings?
During this pandemic, I don't know if you have seen this Netflix documentary, Behind the Screen. Behind the screen, when they say, if you're not paying for that product, if you're not paying for that service, it means that you're the product. It means that all what we are doing online is recorded, is analyzed to make sure that whatever will be presented to you on social media or any platform will be accurate to your need. So there is a need, and they are just responding to that. But at the same time, it's creating chemistry talking, some oxytocin. When you scroll down your phone and checking the news and liking, you feel good, you feel happy about it. And we need to be aware of that. We need to be aware of our behavior, because you cannot then protect and making sure that the technology is regulated within your workplace if you're not yourself aware that you're part of it, that you're kind of the projects, that your data are already used for that. So that's creating a question about your values and what is important in your life related to how you behave in front of those technology. And another thing that I realized is that during these 8 months I spent in Qatar, in my house, the frontier, the barrier between your professional life and your personal life is totally deleted. It doesn't exist anymore. I think my kids has the representation of their map with a phone in front. So this is also creating, socially speaking, a new dynamic. Maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. I don't know. I'm not there to judge, but we need to be aware of it. And we need to take sometimes the distance from that to be able to create the safe space, to regulate and to protect.
Thank you. Does anybody want to else chime in on this? Francois, do you want to chime in?
Yes, I totally agree with Oriane, and I think remote working is definitely has changed the way we our behavior is very, more and more important, and I think also creates so much uncertainty that we have to navigate this kind of business life, legal life, and family life in one environment. Although we are safe from commuting, and this navigation brings a lot of uncertainty and isolation. And I think many, especially women who are often taking care of the children as well, feel very isolated, and they feel that they're not completely in their community, and they feel also very worried that the security with the job, they're not good enough, and they are feeling that there might be some issues later about what they've done wrong, and it gives a lot of insecurity, and there is a lot of mental anxieties, and it is new, so there is very little we know yet about the results of this remote working, especially for lawyers.
Can I just?
Yes.
I also want to, make a comment from a social perspective. I have a friends who work in a law firm abroad, and I asked them, how has it been during the pandemic? And they said, we've been working from home since the beginning, but at the law firm they had this. The partner came up with this idea to create some sort of chat room where during 1 hour of the day, anyone can just hop in and speak with anyone at the law firm. And I told her, so how was that? And she said, I actually learned a lot more about my colleagues and the people at the firm than I did before. And so I guess, it's a good thing and a bad thing. There are ways to navigate around this, but of course we cannot deny that social interaction is so important.
There is also a question from Luigia. I think it's for Julie. Will technologic upskilling be the only way to compete with artificial intelligence, or the soft skills upgrade is also required?
Thank you for catching those. I'm not seeing any of them, so appreciate that. Great question.
Yeah, thank you, Luigia, for sending this question, which is very interesting. My personal view is that technology is indispensable to master. As lawyers, you don't need to be, technicians in a sense of geek. I worked for LexisNexis for 10 years, but I don't work for them anymore. So there is no, incentives behind that. But they have wonderful technologies for lawyers to make them more efficient, gain time. It's super easy to navigate and to master. So don't worry about being a geek. You don't have to be a geek. Just stick to your lawyer thing. But to me, the main question, the maybe the most challenging way to adapt is to develop soft skills and to develop interactions with other professionals from other fields and other countries. Always keep an open mind and always see how you can import good practices from other professions into your own profession. So just to summarize, technology is great. Technology is also accessible. You don't have to spend hours in understanding technology. However, you need to develop new skills, new soft skills more specifically.
What I love are we have people from outside of Qatar as well, from Lebanon, who've commented. And then I think the interesting comment here is just the skills. And one conversation we've had internally in the law school is the extent to which we need to have training in the computer technology, well beyond learning how to find a Q&A in a chat room, but simply how to be able to deal with breaches in data privacy. I assume, Oriane, did you feel, given the kind of work you're doing, did you feel qualified to be able to deal with these very complex data privacy issues coming out of legal training?
We have done a great training on data privacy with Maastricht University with one of my colleagues in Qatar Financial Center. And during 5 days, we have been totally involved in how the GDPR is working, how we need to assess our data structure, how we need to prepare a risk assessment questionnaire for the company, and how we can also put the biggest principle in our data privacy policies. So I think we are never totally expert on that domain, but we need to start from somewhere, and those policies are the best way to start. And second, to connect to IT guys, being able to talk to them and ask them to respond to us on a simple way will help also to create interaction and connection with these new words. And on my daily basis, when I have to draft some software or license agreement on technology side, I'm always sitting with the technology and digital team to understand. And I'm like a 5-year-old child asking stupid questions, but those stupid questions help me to translate and transform those new languages in the legal side. So I think every lawyer can do that easily. It's again a matter of communication with people and being able to interact, connect, and understand each other's. Then our role is to translate those risks into legal tools, policies, compliance. So we are all highly skilled for that.
That's what we do as lawyers, I think, very well, is to be able to adapt and translate into different languages. That's what the legal training should enable you to do. It takes a lot of adjustment, but I would like to just end on a positive note that particularly for the law students in the audience, this is a great time for you to be training as a lawyer, because there are going to be so many changes, and those who can adapt and anticipate are the ones I think that will excel. And I can tell you, when I was in law school, Julie mentioned LexisNexis data and all that. It just came on 35 years ago. And the moment we started using that technology rather than the original hand research, it was a blessing. It was a complete blessing. And so, well, let me, I know our time has passed, but let me first thank each of you, Francois, Julie, Oriane, Asma, for all of your initiative in putting this together and for your comments and the like. And secondly, I would like to thank, again, my colleagues as the Dean and Sandhya. And third, I would like to thank our audience. We do have the questions, and it looks like everybody was engaged. Please feel free to reach out to any of us. The initiative is going to have activities and the like. And this is a very important time, I think, for us to be, as we learned in today's session, having a conversation, getting to know each other better. So thank you so much, everyone. Stay safe. Have an enjoyable rest of the day, and we'll catch you on the next session. Bye-bye.